Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everywhere. This is Spencer Kett calling from Hardin County, Kentucky, where I'm running for magistrate. Well, let me tell you, this whole idea that Project 2025 was just some big farce and joke cooked up by the Democrats, it's turning out to be really true. Trump's even admitting it now that he's full deep into it. You know, Russell Vought is now the White House budget director, and he said they are now laying off employees during this shutdown. So, this government shutdown is putting Project 2025's chapters that Russell Vought wrote, because he was one of the authors of Project 2025, they're putting them into full effect. They planned on eliminating as many government jobs as possible, and they're doing it and hurting Americans. 23,000 federal jobs have been on the chopping block in Kentucky since April when Doge went into full swing. Fort Knox was already hurting, starting with Doge. Now, since October 1st and this government shutdown, it's become even worse. Kids in Fort Knox and Fort Campbell can't even play their football games with the kids that belong to the DOD public schools because the budget cuts. This is something that should just be unacceptable to everyone, but we know that cruelty rules these days. The crueler you are, the cooler you are in these circles. And that's not what I believe in. That's not anything I ever read in my Bible. That's for sure. I read about a Jesus that talked about the humble, the meek inheriting heaven. Never read about cruelty being the way to go. Now maybe someone likes the crueler sections of the Old Testament more than the New Testament, but not me. I'm about hope, empathy, kindness, hard work. Now, I love that part in the Old Testament about, working by the sweat of your brow and being an honorable person based on that. That makes sense. But loving to fire people and make people suffer, I'm not down with that. Elizabethtown can't handle that. We get so many people coming off of the base, both active duty folks and the folks all over Hardin County and even surrounding counties that work as civilians on Fort Knox. They right now are going without pay, being furloughed, not sure when their paychecks ever going to come in again. If there are going to be these, are going to be fired because Russell Vought is bragging about it. Trump's bragging about it. That's not the way to go. Not at all. We need those people coming off the base, spending their money and our businesses, our restaurants, like they have for over 50 years. And we need them coming out here and us supporting them and them supporting us. And we can't do that when you're shutting down the government and you're playing games all because you want your Project 25 turbocharge edition to go into effect. Now, I believe in responsible government employees being paid for their hard work and doing what we need them to do. Help keep our well oiled system running. Keep these Treasury employees employed to keep our economy going. Keep the DOD employees going to keep our military strong and stable. Well, that's what we need. We don't need us playing around and playing chicken with the economy. All right, folks, let's take care of one another, love one another, make sure we get empathy back into our system. That's all we need. Empathy, hard work, and rewarding the sweat of our brow. All right. Love your neighbors as you love yourself. Remember, we are brothers keepers and our sisters keepers. Let's take care of one another. Have a great evening.